Hello and welcome to Balanced Existence. I'm so happy to be with you here today for a reading for our collective. I pulled a few oracle cards to get us started, and I pulled nature, expectation, and gratitude. So I really invite you to kind of relax into those words because the message might come through to you that your intuition is bringing you without me even needing to go further. I'm just feeling the need to bring that message forward. But what I'm picking up when I'm receiving these cards is that there's this ebb and flow between this life that we want for ourselves and the expectations and the things that we desire and that we work for and that we take action towards, as well as just the ability to surrender and accept what is. And that comes easily to many of us through time in nature, or even time with animals, and even time doing hobbies that connect us to source through the flow state. And having this gratitude for that, I'm hearing the words push and pull, so it may feel like that for some of us in the collective. It may feel like you're in this tug of war, or even just this up and down seesaw of feeling like you are putting a lot of energy into your expectations and then overcompensating or, balancing yourself back towards more of a relaxed state of breathing and being in nature and enjoying fresh air. And this is kind of the archetypes and the symbolism that I'm picking up through these cards. So I want that to kind of start us off for this reading. I haven't pulled any tarot cards yet, but I just want us to hold these messages in the back of our mind or in our spirits as we move forward with the reading. And another thing that's important about the gratitude card is this idea that when we're grateful for what is, whether it's this surrender and this more divine feminine energy, which does not have to relate to gender, but it's, this nature and this slowing down. When we're grateful for that, as well as the ability to act on our creative fire and passions and drive, and when we combine those together, we have this beautiful acceptance of what is and acceptance of the duality of how we can approach things, right? There's moments where we take action and there's moments where we wait and we just accept and receive. And that is what abundance is made of. It's this contrast of different moments, whether it's a moment that feels challenging versus a moment that we feel like we're making a lot of progress, or whether it's a moment of doing versus a moment of being. All of the contrast that makes up the duality of the world we live in is something to be grateful for, because it's what's contributing to our ultimate abundance. And so through these periods in nature, we may get sparks of inspiration and drive, as a result of giving yourself time to slow down. And through this kind of commitment to our expectations, we also learn to let go a little and be open for whatever comes next, and to kind of flow with life and kind of listen to your life like a song, or watch your life like a movie. And then your expectation is not just a way that we try to control life, but it's a way that, we set the standards, we set boundaries as needed, but most importantly is we gain clarity on that which we desire. And it's completely appropriate to expect that the universe will deliver your desires, right? But the best way to approach that is through releasing this attachment to the how and the when. And so then having these expectations is actually quite healthy, because you're able to navigate through life feeling confident in, again, the song of life, the movie of life, and you're flowing and you're open to whatever comes next because you have this expectation and this knowing that the universe will deliver your desires, rather than expectation meaning, the definition of expectation that a lot of us think, which is this I have an expectation, and if it's not met, then like I'm upset, right? This kind of reliance on external circumstances or reliance on external validation. And sometimes the word expectation can have kind of a negative connotation because it makes it seem like we're not empowered to create our own reality, or that we're kind of at the mercy of things that are out of our control or happening external to us. So, okay, that was a little bit of a side tangent, but I feel like that message needed to come through. So I'm going to pull some oracle cards here. We have the Two of Wands. So again, the number 2 coming out to show us that duality, and of course the Suit of Wands coming out. I love this card as it relates to these oracle cards, and I'm getting chills channeling into this because the Two of Wands is about that point where you're looking ahead on the horizon. Maybe you have a fork in the road of 2 paths that you might be choosing to take, or the Two of Wands can just be generally representing, that duality and that contrast that we were talking about of, some moments we do, some moments we just be, some moments we take action, some moments we just reflect and do nothing. Some moments we give a lot of effort or energy, and other moments we receive a lot of rewards or harvest. So the Two of Wands is a beautiful card here because it's all about, it's a planning stage. It can definitely be about looking forward to what's to come. And, we talked about gaining clarity on your desires. The Two of Wands is definitely about listening to your inner fire and what drives you, again, with the wands being that fire energy and that creativity. It's about thinking and feeling into that which you wanted to manifest, and then using the balance of the duality of life to flow through life on that journey towards it. We also have the Seven of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands. So Ace of Wands can be, I'm also feeling like the Ace of Wands and the Nature Oracle card are going together quite nicely. So if you take a moment in nature, you might get this brilliant spark of inspiration represented by the Ace of Wands. So really, Spirit is saying don't underestimate the value of even just going for a 10-minute walk and hearing the birds chirp, looking at the sun and the clouds in the sky, feeling the warmth of the sun on your face, or feeling the cool breeze, wherever you are. Maybe it's not sunny or feeling the cool air, or if it's raining, feeling a little bit of a drizzle on your skin. Just these beautiful ways that we can connect to nature wherever you live. You don't have to live in the middle of a forest or in the mountains or by the beach to experience this. You can get access to a tree nearly anywhere or even just outside, like if it's the desert and there's some plant somewhere or some sand that you can touch and really connect with, right? Like really wherever you live, there is something that will connect you to nature. And I would love to hear from you in the comments if there's something that maybe you already have that you in your environment that you really resonate with as it relates to connecting to nature. Because I really feel like sometimes we're so fixated on solutions and we don't realize that just a breath of fresh air and some time to reflect, or even some time to just sit and do nothing outside in nature can be incredibly healing. So I'm going to go back to the Seven of Pentacles here, and I just want to touch on, again, this duality with the Seven of Pentacles where you have 6 pentacles on one side and 1 pentacle on the other. So there again might be this fork in the road where the 6 pentacles kind of represents all the hard work that you've put in so far, and then the 1 pentacle on the other side represents a new path that maybe you haven't taken yet. So I really do feel there's a portion of this collective, especially with the Ace of Wands coming through, that may be at this point of taking a turn down this fork in the road that you've not taken before, like a completely new timeline, a completely new chapter, new decisions, new embodiment, new identity, and that time in nature and this time to, again, gain clarity on your expectations and your desires, and embark on this journey of reflection and self-awareness and defining your path ahead with gratitude. Embarking on that journey with gratitude, because that's what's going to allow you to appreciate every step of it, which is going to set your foundation for abundance in all that you experience here. So just the fact that you are where you are right now, that maybe you have a big decision to make, and maybe part of you feels stressed about where you're at in life, and maybe part of you is, again, feeling that tug of war, that push and pull, but remembering that this friction or resistance or contrast is actually all part of this beautiful big picture of abundance. Feeling into that gratitude is going to really help your journey, continue to bring you blessings, through that perspective shift. Okay, I want to pull a couple other oracle cards. We have vulnerability. Wow, yeah. So definitely feeling like a part of this collective is needing to get really clear on what matters to them. And that might require some vulnerability of maybe admitting something that you thought mattered to you, but you're realizing doesn't matter as much as you thought it did, or something you thought didn't matter to you and you're realizing actually does matter a lot to you. So being able to sit with that, again, sitting in nature is coming to me here, but sit with that vulnerability and the ability to, speak out loud or to yourself, what is it that I expect out of life? What is it that I'm grateful for? What is it that matters to me? Because that ability to be vulnerable and honest with yourself and to answer how you and your soul want to answer it, not how you think, society or any other person or thing in your environment would want you to answer, that can be extremely powerful. And then we have the You Are Worth It card. So again, this magical, I feel like we're crossing this hump, or we're, reaching this milestone on this mountain we're climbing, like we're reaching a peak on this mountain, and you're really rising to this knowing of just how valuable your soul's desires are and how sacred they are and how following them and I'm hearing like obeying them, but that's kind of what I mean by surrendering to them. Like your soul calls you towards certain things, and when you surrender to the divine source that, runs through our spirit, and you follow your desires as if like it's your call, like you are being called to do this, it's not that you're obeying against your will, it's that you're obeying the divine destiny of your soul, and you're doing so with this creative inspiration and fire, because it is, it is your highest path and it is your most authentic self. And that is just such a beautiful way to live life. So feeling like when we are called towards something, that in itself is such a blessing for us to come to that realization in this life. And we do so many times, sometimes in small things or small areas of life, sometimes in larger examples in life. But ultimately, when you get to a realization like that, and I'm just channeling into this right now, and I hope that you can also take a moment to channel into this, whether you're envisioning it in a current example that resonates for you, or whether you're trying to manifest this in the future, or whether you're remembering an example of a time that you did this in the past. But I want you to really feel into a moment where you realize that something mattered to you, or maybe you realize something didn't matter to you and you needed to set a boundary and, put your energy elsewhere. But, when you realize what's important to you, and when you get really clear on a particular value, I'm also hearing that like the core values exercise might be great for you to do right now, especially if you're feeling like you're at this fork in the road and this kind of identity shift. I'm just feeling like it's such a beautiful energy to recognize yourself and recognize your soul and the divine source energy that's flowing through you. that's what happens when we come to a moment of recognizing what matters to us, when we have the vulnerability to surrender to all of the external noise and to get clear on, okay, this is me. That is what my soul is calling me towards. And you are worth all of those moments that you can do that, whether big or small. You are so worth it. And you should be so proud of yourself for any moment that you do have a recognition of something that resonates with you. It's just so magical, and it really is, again, contributing to the abundance in our lives when you can recognize it and feel into it with the highest amount of gratitude you can possibly bring. So to close this reading, I really encourage you to sit in nature, to think about what kind of forks in the road you may be at in life, how you want to balance accepting what is, but also taking action towards your expectations and desires in life, and just having that courage to be vulnerable and be authentic. So I will leave you with that. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of this collective. I'm so grateful for all of you who choose to like, comment, subscribe. It means so much to me as we're building this collective. So thank you again for being here, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.